just got done welding the frame together. We also got all the suspension fully welded, so now everything is now permanently all welded together. Now, before we start working on reassembling this, we do need to add the skid plates to the bottom of this. Now, I do have a couple of these 1/8 of an inch thick aluminum diamond plate sheets that I found at the scrapyard years ago. I don't have one that's big enough to cover this whole thing out of one piece of aluminum, so I'll do 3 separate pieces. Plus, it'll be a little bit easier to do it at 3 separate pieces because it's obviously not flat, and I don't really have a good way to bend, this big of aluminum. So, and then I'll probably just weld it together to make it into one piece. I also need to cover this whole front in aluminum. I'm also going to cover this and this, but those don't need to be made out of aluminum. Those can be just made out of steel and just permanently welded to the frame. Now, I do think I should weld these 3 together because right now they're just kind of really loud. So, because right now the middle isn't really supported because it's not, it's not connected. So I think if I weld all these together, hopefully it'll quiet this down. Oops. Alright, so I just need to weld these in place, and then these skid... Yeah, I just need to weld these in place, and then the skid plates are done. Alright, skid plates are now finally done. Now they do have a pretty good ring to them, but hopefully once we install everything, hopefully that'll go away. So before we start reassembling the frame, we first need to rebuild this front differential. All we're really doing is replacing the bearings, the seals. I also bought an aluminum cage for this to replace the plastic one on the inside. And remember, I accidentally ripped out the wires going into this differential that control locking and unlocking this differential. And pretty much the only way to fix it is by just buying a new cover for this. It wasn't that expensive, but I do hope it'll fit. It looks like the same size, so yeah, hopefully it'll fit. Also, we do need to relocate the vent on the top. Normally sticks out the top, but it was in the way of the steering, so now we just need to move it to the side. Alright, hopefully I can weld this. I need to seal off the top, so therefore we can drill the hole on the side to tap it. So, yeah, I've welded cast aluminum before. It's a little bit tricky. I just really hope that it's nice, good, clean aluminum. Yeah, nice. That worked beautifully. So I always have this really weird feeling of once I finally get the cover on, I always want to take it off just to make sure that this piece is in the right spot, make sure that that didn't move or anything, and it's like, I always want to double check just to make sure everything's in the right spot, but it's like I just spent 5 minutes getting the cover on, and as soon as I get it on, I want to take it off to double check everything. So I have to just trust that everything is where it should be. Alright, front differential is done. I will fill it full of fluid, and I have this demand drive fluid. I'm pretty sure this is the stuff that goes in here. So let's start working on reassembling this. Now I know some of you guys are going to question, why don't I paint the frame now? I mean, it's already all disassembled, it's nice and clean, and not covered in rust. Why don't I paint the frame now? But the reason I don't do it now is because I'm not done welding on this. I still need to add a bunch of little things here and there. So I want to add more paneling in the front. And it's a lot easier to do that when the frame isn't painted. I know there is a spray paint out there that you can weld over, but I always like to, with projects like these, I always like to take them test driving, make sure they're working properly, make sure they don't need any modifications or don't need rebuilds or complete redesigns. Then, once they've proven themselves to be reliable enough, then I like to strip the whole thing down, clean it, and then paint the frame and finalize the project, which I know I haven't done that in kind of a long time. I know I'm in the middle of how many projects right now, but it's spring's around the corner. Once it warms up, then I'll start working on trying to finalize and paint some of the projects I'm working on. But for now, let's start working on reassembling this project. Wow. So either this is the wrong kind of oil, or it's got a bunch of water in it. Or maybe both. I mean, it smells like gear oil, not like Polaris differential gear oil, but more just like plain gear oil. And it also looks like it's got a bunch of water in it. Now, ideally, I should have also rebuilt this rear gearbox, but I forgot to buy the parts I would need to rebuild it. So I'm just kind of hoping that these seals don't leak. Maybe this will speed it up. That's nasty. It's also making a mess and spraying oil everywhere. Okay, I better stop. I guess that's too much. So after seeing the condition of the oil that was in this gearbox, I'm probably gonna flush this gearbox a couple times just to try and get all that moisture out. Now, next thing is I want to add paneling all throughout here, panel here, panel here, panel here. We do have to make sure it's not going to be in the way of the gas tank because the gas tank is right here. I don't know why I reinstalled the front suspension. I should have done the paneling first and then done the suspension. I don't know, maybe I'll take this back off. And I'm going to cut it out of this little thinner material to try to save on a little bit of weight. Alright, so now the whole drive shaft is covered. Now I want to do a little bit more paneling in front, and then another panel over here. So, paneling in the front is now finished. Now I'm leaving this wide open, I'm leaving this open. This I have to leave open because the gas tank sticks out right here. I think this is enough paneling. I don't think we really need any. I was thinking about closing this off and closing all this off, but I don't think we need to. I think this is a little overkill. I think this is fine. So let's start working on reinstalling the rear suspension. Now, I was going to start working on rebuilding this engine in this video, but I'm actually going out of town tomorrow, so we're just going to have to save that for the next video of this project. Now, we got the frame is all done, suspension's mostly reinstalled, drivetrain's mostly reinstalled, paneling in the front is done, skid plates are done. Next video is rebuilding this engine and then getting it reinstalled in the frame so therefore we can finish the suspension, finish the drivetrain, and then we can start working on hooking up the brakes, hooking up the radiator, hooking up wiring, and all the things that we need to hook up to try and get this engine to run. But anyway, I guess that's it for this video. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video.